of cancel culture. I will say we are making progress. When I first started talking about this, the first question that I had to answer was, is there any such thing as cancel culture, right? Is this just sort of a hoax where, you know, people are exaggerating a bunch of overhyped anecdotes and it's not a national problem? It's just criticism which everybody should be prepared to expect as a consequence of a culture of free expression. So that was, you know, it was like, oh, there really is no such thing. Now at least, it's in the dictionary, right? People are accepting that there is such a thing. So I understand that this is a group of lawyers and they're going to focus on censorship and the First Amendment you know, how this may affect lawyers and how they do their work. But I think the implications of cancel culture are actually much broader than that.
Table here, Justice Karofsky.
Thank you, Mark. And hello, everybody. I'm Jill Karofsky. I'm on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. I'm the junior justice on the court for, I don't know, maybe 6 more weeks or so when I welcome Justice-elect Janet Protasiewicz. The hazing has begun. She's been told she has to get coffee every morning, so if you see her, please don't disabuse her of that notion. By way of background, you know, I don't come from an appellate
commute of anybody here. I had to walk across the street. Our court is comprised of 11 members plus senior judges, 2 judges from Wisconsin, 6 from Illinois, and 3 from Indiana. As many of you probably know, we hear all our oral arguments in Chicago. They're kind enough to give us chambers down there as well. I would say the out-of-state judges are in Chicago at least 3 times a month, sometimes more often than that, sometimes less frequently, depending on the summer.
Book, you know, and again, to underscore your point, we screen 18 cases a month, each of our judges, and then we're, you know, then we're processing, we're writing, we're reviewing other drafts. My colleague Rick Brown used to come to seminars on this topic with a stack like this, and he'd say, this is what we're going to read, you know, in the next 10 days. So knowing
You have read. What does it have? What are those? What's the secret sauce?
Right, yeah. I think that's trademarked. If you do not have a book called Thinking Like a Writer by Tim Terrell, I really recommend you buy it. And if you have any opportunity to go to a legal writing seminar where he is the presenter, go. He was here a little less than a year ago. I want to say it was September, and I know all my friends most of my friends on the Court of Appeals were there. Most of my colleagues were there. Our law clerks were there, and other court staff was there, and it was phenomenal. I mentioned that I spent the summer of 2020 between my election to the Supreme Court when I was going to take office, COVID summer, one of the COVIDs, the first COVID summer. And I was wondering how I was going to make the transition from oral advocacy or being on the circuit court bench, which I had been in the criminal rotation, so I didn't write down a word in the 3 years that I was there. It just all came from the bench. And how I was going to make the transition from that into a job that was largely reading and writing. And one of the first things that Tim Terrell writes about is that if you can be a good oral advocate, you can be a good writer. So I took and I read his book cover to cover, and I learned so much. Some of the things that he talks about, Judge Brennan just talked about a little while ago. If were Ann Walsh Bradley in this room right now, she would talk to you about the importance of real estate, right? Primacy and recency. What are you going to put first? What are you going to put last? How are you going to structure your arguments? I couldn't agree with Judge Brennan more that once you get to the 4th or 5th issue, it's like your kids arguing, right? It's like, and another thing, and another thing, and another thing. And you're like, oh my God, is this ever going to end?
The second point is answer the question, then give the reasoning. If you try to give the reasoning before the answer, you'll get cut off. The third is there are both closed-ended and open-ended questioners and questions. You've gotta be ready for both. Got nothing to do with judicial philosophy, got nothing to do with appointing and confirming authority. Some judges are going to ask closed-ended questions as if you're in a deposition, you're being cross-examined. Other judges are going to be seeking information. Please help me understand this because it's not clear. You got to be prepared for both types of questions. Finally, know when to sit down. Just because you got the time doesn't mean you've got to use it. There are so many instances in which individuals try to fill time. All of a sudden, it pops up a question in the judge's mind. It can hurt their case. It rarely helps their case, it often hurts.
As chair of the State Bar's Diversity Task Force. He then chaired the Diversity and Inclusion Oversight Committee from 2014 through 2021. The Diversity and Inclusion Oversight Committee now stands as a model for other states working toward similar goals. Please join me in honoring Chief Judge Carl Ashley.
Good evening. It is just a warm, cuddly feeling I have for the State Bar to decide to acknowledge some of the things I've done with this award. I'm humbled by it, but I want to do what the common theme is, and that is to support the people who have helped me do this. And at my table, first I have Joe Donnell. By the way, there are a lot of people in here I could point out, but I ain't got the time. Okay. Joe Donnell is my mentor, has always been there for me. And then